So my little curls here, it's, you know, usually when I record it probably is time for a wash, but anyways, I am here today. Got my little nursing uniform on. When I leave here I'm going to work, but anyways, I am here today to tell you guys how I have been studying for my nursing courses. I've been meaning to do this video as I've been studying for my course. This summer course, we've had 4 tests, and they are, I believe, 75% of our grade. Our final exam is 20% of our grade, and then we have some miscellaneous things that account for about 5% of our grade. So your nursing tests in my program are very, very important because they're the huge chunk of your grade. And the way our cohort is set up, it's we normally have a test every other week because it's a 8-week course over the summer, so we usually have a test about every other week. This last month, I believe they were probably trying to get all of our tests in before the drop date, because you'll basically know how you're doing, and you'll know that, okay, I just need to go ahead and drop this class so I can at least get a portion of my money back because I'm not doing so well. So the first month of class, we did have our bulk of our tests. We had 3 of our tests before that drop date in June, and then this July we have had probably about a 2-week break between our last 2 tests, our 3rd test and our 4th test. And that break, we have lecture every two times a week, and we have definitely gotten a lot of information for this last particular test, which is weird because it was a 50 question test. It only had about 2 different concepts on the test, but it was still a lot of information, a lot more lectures in between these last 2 classes. And I don't know if I like that, because trying to remember the stuff that I learned from 2 weeks ago and apply it to the bulk of my test questions, it's like I don't know if I really liked it. But anyway, so today I wanted to tell you guys how I study for my test. So just to let you know, we have yesterday I took my last test. They posted our grades today. My test grades, in order to pass our class, let me start with that, you have to have an 80. You have to have an 80 average to pass our nursing course. So to let you know my grades, on my first test I made a 79, on my second test I made an 83, on my 3rd test I made a 96, and on my 4th test I made an 86. And I know people are like, oh my gosh, those grades sound terrible, they're not A's, but you make 1 A on a nursing exam and you think you can tell everybody else how to study. But anyways, to let you guys know how I study, the first thing, I got my book back here. So the first thing I do, it's my book bag. Anyways, it's my notebook, sorry, part of my book bag. Anyways, so in my notebook I have all of my PowerPoints. So the way our teachers teach is they teach with like a PowerPoint as their points, basically. So I'm gonna print out, I'm gonna show you exactly like what my PowerPoints look like, just to give you an example. So I print out the PowerPoints, but when I print out my PowerPoints, can you see it? Okay, when I print out my PowerPoints, I have the PowerPoint slide, which is what the teacher is normally going off of in class, but I printed three slides per page, and then I have my lines here so I can take notes during class while the teacher is teaching and I'm following along with their PowerPoint. So also, what I also do, the number 1 thing I recommend that you do if you're in nursing school and your school allows it, because schools are very touchy with this, but I record my lectures. I use the regular recording app on my cell phone. I will tell you, if you do that, be careful about texting during class. Be careful about getting on the internet to look things up that your teacher may be talking about, because you can hear each time you punch your phone while you're texting during the recording. So it gets kind of annoying when you go back and listen to it. But I record all of my lectures, and in the perfect world, I would go and listen to the lectures like probably the afternoon or maybe the day after the lecture. But sometimes that's not always possible with my work schedule and everything else that I have going on. But I do take the time within a couple of days of having the lecture, usually at least before the next lecture. We have lecture on Mondays and Wednesdays, so if I have a lecture on Wednesday, I try to do it at least before that Monday when the next lecture is started. I try to listen to the recording, and when I listen to the recording, I'm writing down I'm following along with the PowerPoint, because the teachers, you can hear the teacher going along with the PowerPoint, giving you different pages and letting you know where to look in the book. But I follow along with the PowerPoint by the recording, and I take more notes to make sure I didn't miss anything. And then also while I'm in class, if I'm very ADHD, I'm very hyperactive. I can't, sitting in a class is not the best way for me to learn unless you're gonna give me breaks every hour, because when I sit down for a long period of time, I start to go, my mind, I can think of a million things that I could be doing. I'm daydreaming, I'm creating my life, you know, in my mind, like I'm having conversations with other people if I'm sitting still for too long. So if I catch myself tuning out from the teacher and I miss something that she might, and I might tune in right when she says you need to know that for the test. Because if you have a teacher that lets you know you need to know that for the test, you need to know that for the test, okay? Make sure you get that. Make sure you get that. But if I tune in at those moments where I tune out, I also write down what minute it is on the recording. So I'll write down, go back and read at 11 minutes and 45 seconds, or go back and listen, excuse me, at 11 minutes and 45 seconds. Just so while I'm listening, I know, okay, I really need to listen right here because I tuned out in class. So that is what I do. So after I listen to the PowerPoint, take extra notes, I have these handy dandy note cards. I have put everybody onto note cards, okay? Because everybody in my class was like, oh, you use note cards? I didn't even think of using no note cards. They're reading the book. They're reading the book like the whole entire chapter. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, your med surge book, when you start doing med surge tests and you start having stuff that's all the bulk of your information is in your med surge book, that is a thick behind book. I don't have the book to show you how thick it is because I have the ebook, but that book is thick. And if you read it from chapter to chapter, exemplar to exemplar, and try to retain all the information, you will be in overload. There is a such thing as knowing too much information, because knowing too much causes you to overthink, which is an issue I feel like is hard for LPNs to transition into the RN because you already seen so much. But anyways, that's a whole nother video. New idea. But anyways, I put everybody on the note cards, and what I do is the information that I write, I take the information, here goes another PowerPoint. So I take the PowerPoint, what's on the PowerPoint, I take what's on the PowerPoint. So this here is nutrition and meal planning. So I will take these bullets, I will put this here, the header of the PowerPoint, on the white part of my card. I don't have any, I should have had some cards ready that I've already made. They're kind of everywhere. But I take that and I put that on the back of the card, and then the bullet points, the important information that the teachers made of the bullet points, I take those and I just fill it in on my lines on my card. And then any notes that I put, any notes that I made here, I also put that on the note card too, and I might actually highlight that because I want to know that the teacher said that you need to know that for the test, and I want to make sure I remember that. So I might highlight it and make sure that I remember that that's actually very pertinent information to know for the test. But anyways, so yeah, that is my bulk of my studying. And let me tell you, the reason I love the note card so much is because, like I said before, I'm not one of those people that can sit down very long. I'm very outdoorsy, I'm very energetic, I love to be outside. That's where I learn the most. So what I've learned is I take these note cards everywhere. I can take the note cards to while I'm getting my car washed. I can take the note cards while I'm getting my hair done or a haircut, which I need. I can take these note cards anywhere because they're so small. I just, you know, you can take them anywhere and you can just be studying. And I've realized that the more time I focus on, or the more I take my note cards around, the higher my test scores are. That 96, these note cards were going everywhere. That 83, that was on fluid and electrolytes. Even though it was just an 83, that is actually one of the highest grades, because fluid and electrolytes is a very tough subject. When you're in learning school, when you're in nursing school, you'll learn that. If you've already been through nursing school, you already know fluid and electrolytes, diabetes, metabolism, all that stuff's really tough. Take note cards, you need them. Okay, so anyways, moving on. So I do that to let you know just to kind of give you an overview of what's in my book bag. I don't have very many books. A lot of my books are ebooks. So I keep all that. I try to always have a highlighter. I try to always keep a bunch of pens. And I have colored like pens also, because that's how you know that the information is what you need. I usually keep my drug book, because whether you're in clinical, whether you're in class, like drug names get thrown up a lot, and if you don't have any background with the drug, you may not know what it's about, and you need your drug book. Like you're definitely gonna need a drug book. I don't suggest anybody try to go without a drug book during nursing school. So yeah, that's pretty much how I study. Like I said, I print my PowerPoints out 3 slides to 1 page with the lines next to it. While I'm in class, I follow along with the, it's trying to focus again. Ah, ooh, you got me. Okay, so while I'm in class, I take notes on those lines. I transfer, I go home, I listen to the recordings and take more notes, and then I take those notes and I put them on those note cards, and I take those note cards everywhere. One thing, I think I got off on a tangent, but I was expressing the importance of being able to take the note cards everywhere, because like I said, I learn better outside. So I will go for a walk in the morning. I would just go for a walk and just walk around my neighborhood with my note cards in my hand, like, and I've really learned that it helps me really retain the information. Another thing I do for studying, I do not do the study groups, not because I feel like I'm smarter than everybody else. People make way better grades than me. They probably need to be doing this video. But I have, my time schedule doesn't allow me to really get with other people, because I'm still working right now. This summer cohort, I've still been working. Next semester I'll probably go to working weekends, so I'll have more time during the week. But I don't really study with people that much just because of my time schedule. So what I do try to do before the test is explain the information to someone else. Explain the information to someone else lets you realize, okay, I really do know this, or no, I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm not able to explain what's going on. So to give you an example, let's say our last test yesterday was on diabetes. So if I explain to someone type 2 diabetes is due to the cells being insulin resistant, and just kind of go into the detail about the cells being insulin resistant, so you have more glucose running around the body, and just going into all of that and explaining it to people, I realize, okay, I know what I'm talking about. I understand it. As long as you understand this information on that level, like to where you can explain it the way the teacher would explain it, you'll do very well with understanding the questions. Another thing, if you have ever taken a nursing test, you know that all the answers are right. All the answers are right, just about. You know, you might can rule out one because it's just wrong, but 3 of those 4 answers are going to be right. At least 2 of them are going to be right, but you got to prioritize. You got to critically think what's going to kill the patient first. So in order to get better at critical thinking, you have to do practice questions. So I have a, matter of fact, let me go get that real quick. Be right back. So I don't know how I even forgot to bring this book up. This book right here. It is, what is this? Saunders NCLEX-RN. The only reason I knew right off the bat that this book was gonna guide me through nursing school is because I had it for the PN program, the LPN program. But this book right here, it really takes all your med-surg information, like, and it just breaks it down to like just what you need to know. You don't need to know everything. I'm telling you, if you try to know everything in those books, your brain might break. It might break on you. Blow up. But anyway, so this book, but it also has practice questions, and these questions, a lot of these questions, you might not see the exact question on the test, but you see something that will cause you to use that same thinking to get to the answer. And because the questions in this book, it gives you the rationale behind them. And I think that's what I was trying to say this whole time, but I was taking like going, just going everywhere with it. I think that really what all I was trying to say is, if you know the rationale behind the questions, you will do really well. And because in order to know the rationale, you have to know the information. And another thing is, I did say you need your drug book, and I'm sticking to that. But I will say for the test, I haven't seen many, like a test full of just drugs. Like, a lot of these tests are more concepts, more nursing diagnosis, more prioritization. Like, and when you're prioritizing, it's ABC. Like, airway, breathing, it's ABC. So yeah, definitely do practice questions. But yeah, for the most part, that is how I study right now, finishing this summer semester with an 86 test average. Put some bass in my chest. 86 test average, yeah. Anyways, and I am like damn proud of myself, you know, because I put in some work. I put in that work, and I'm telling you how to put in that same work, okay? Okay, but anyway, so yeah, that's how I study, and I hope it was helpful. I promise that is the #1 thing, helpful. Anything else that I might be forgetting? Get in an environment that's conducive to studying. Like my desk over there, even though it's a desk, I would probably very rarely sit at that thing and try to study. Look how messy it is. But you know, Barnes and Noble, if I'm taking notes from the recording, I can sit anywhere. I usually just sit at the kitchen table and do that. But when I'm like studying, trying to retain the information, I can't be in the house. I have to be somewhere that I'm not worried about. I'm able to focus solely on studying. I'm not trying to clean up. I'm not trying to go exercise. I'm not trying to do anything else. Like, I'm able to just think, study. Okay? So I think that's all the advice that I would give to you. Again, I think it's helpful. If anybody has any questions, if anybody can add to how they study, comment. Please like, please subscribe to my channel. I will try to have videos every week for you guys based off of my journey during nursing school, the LPN to RN transition program. So yeah, any questions, I'll be here to answer them. See ya.